There is a lot being said, a lot of talk about Gen Z at the workplace, a lack of engagement, responsibility, or selfishness among some of the most pointed features by managers and CEOs. But is the problem within the Gen Z or our workplace is outdated?
Gen Z is born in 2001. With the crash of September 11, the safe space is really important. When you put a youngster in your meeting, in your board, or whatever, and you say, oh, you can say whatever you want, but you are not really believe in what you say. They feel it directly.
Today we will speak about Gen Z in hospitality, why we are not attractive to them, what drives their motivation, and how can we design a workplace where they thrive.
Today, hospitality is really blocked at the 90s. I still have the impression when you go in the lobby and you feel the tension. I think there's a mindset from the general managers. Be creative starts with one hotel.
Benoît Vancauwenberghe, Europe's leading generational expert and co-founder of the pioneering agency 20-something. A key speaker at elite global forums like Cannes Lions and Vendox Stockholm, Benoît is here to diagnose the crisis in hospitality. He argues that Gen Z is running from outdated systems because they demand autonomy, purpose, and meaning over rigid standard operating procedures. Welcome to the show, Benoît.
Hello, thank you for hosting me.
This is Schulering Hub Talking Hospitality podcast. I'm Mauricio Schuler, your host. Benoît, how did you first discover the power of bringing Gen Z voices into strategy?
Well, first of all, hello and thank you for hosting me. Well, like you said, we create together with my partners 20-something in a moment where generation has changed, the millennials. Remember, in 2009, this new generation the first digital generation, I identified directly really that this generation is absolutely different. I'm from Generation X, like mostly of people who work now, managers are work hard, play hard generation, where, you have to kill the left person or the right person to survive. And I realized on that 2009 that these millennials are different just because they are partly educated by digital, the way of thinking. And I integrate directly these youngsters until right now. And what I'm seeing right now with this generation is that the ability to do many things. It's a slash generation. I am a guy, I have learned where in university you have been learned qualitative learning. So learning a job very well. This generation is a slash generation. They have learned more quantitatively. So they know a lot of things, but they have 2 or 3 jobs. They can be like working the front desk and then social media or influencers at home. And I think this is really what I'm mostly surprised. And when I do a meeting with a client, I take sometimes 2 weeks to convince my clients. And when you see a youngster directly talking with the clients, it's about the subject of generations of youngsters subjects. Directly, the client get it. When you bring the right people with the right people, there's magic happens. And all the time when I'm saying why I'm doing this job, it takes me a while to convince them. And in 30 minutes, the client is blown away about what they say.
And you said that you started then noticing millennials, right?
Mm-hmm.
Millennials, what is the age millennials, where they were born?
Well, Gen Z, because this is important. Millennials are really 81. The first millennials are 81, and millennials, they are digital and not digital. And it depends on the generation. Gen Z is really revolutionary because you have to understand generations. You have to understand when Gen Z is born. Gen Z is born in 2001, mostly with the crash of September 11. They mostly have a president in US as Trump. They have problems about, they know only war, they have ecological problems, financially of 2008. And when they were 20, it was COVID. So the best years of their life, they were home, watching their parents working, even just to be in the detail, when you're a kid, you imagine your father like a hero, right? When you see at 20 your father working hard on the back of the desk, fighting with his boss from the morning to the evening, your perception about working, your perception of about the magic what your father is doing is blowing away. And I think COVID make from this generation a little bit a scarf generation. From that moment, I think Generation Z said, should I really do this? Would like really be like my father? And this really has been a game changer for the industry and for for the work industry. The good part is, of course, we know the good part of COVID is we could work at home, and there's a lot of positive parts. But there's a lot of, I would say open ire, if I can say that in English, for the generation that said, we are the first generation that will not accept what happens right now.
Yes, I remember myself having to work from the bathroom, the toilet, like setting up not to annoy at home, right? And to be talking 6 hours. And I never thought about how my daughter would see this. She was very young, so probably she'll have forgotten by now. But when it comes to having youngsters on their 17, 20 years old coming to the workforce and watching that and watching how that transaction, the working transaction happens, basically can be a dream killer. And I get what you mean, but why are they so misunderstood? Why there is so much talk about them?
No, they are not misunderstood. What is really special with this generation is they have other signals. In our time, Marie, so when we were like upset, we go to the boss, so you could see it in the faces. They have not the same faces. They have other signals. And we think we understand them, but we don't understand. I give you a concrete example. September 11, you probably remember where you were on September 11. For you, September 11 is really something, oh yes, I was there and I remember exactly. September 11 is part of your story of your life, right? For them, it's history. For them, September 11 is the same level or the Second War. So when you are talking about September 11, and you don't think, oh my God, because it's close for you, but for them is absolutely not part of their story, you talk differently. You have to put it in another context. This example is not only about history, but is in the way of working and everything. Before starting working with Gen Z, you have to understand, okay, what I'm talking right now is it's part of their story, is history. And when you're in this perception, you understand, you see, probably you have to understand example. iPhone, a telephone like that has never existed for them. It's always been with the camera. And when you say to them, not working with the phone is impossible because phone is part of their life. It's a part of the expression. Another concrete thing that it's important to know is example, communication skills. When we were young, we gone outside and we worked and we played with our friends, and when we had fight, we had to negotiate, right? You have to negotiate for the ball. You have to negotiate for winning. And the fighting was part of negotiation growing up. They're not growing up like us. They grew up with the mobile, with the iPad, because the parents were scared. It was another situation. You have to put it again in the context. Where the most important thing between 6 and 15, when you learn to negotiate, they've been on the front or the screen, and they talk, and the way of expression is emoji, is other way of expression. So at that moment, when you are in the front desk, or when you have to negotiate with your boss, they have other way to negotiate it. And if you don't understand language, if you don't read behind the lines, of course you have a communication, and like you said, you don't understand them, or you have the feeling that they don't understand you. But I think we as leader, we have more maturity. We have to learn a new language, the language of the Generation Z, who's absolutely different.
Yeah, it makes sense. And now something that comes to my mind is you said now that, yes, they have this different way of communicate. But then before you said that when you put them to speak to a client directly, they get convinced in 30 minutes. What is that specialty? What surprised you about this communication that make them that clear to a client to understand them?
I think in our position, the example I give you is that I give them trust. I give them the space, and I bring them really, and they feel directly that my signals were right. Where, when I say when I have a meeting with a client, mostly 50% of the meeting is for them. I don't try to take them fakely and say, look, we have a youngster and it's cool and #lol, and give him just 5 minutes or just be there because they're making the progress report. No, I give him the whole floor and the whole space because I trust my clients. I trust the youngsters, and I think it's a reverse mentoring system. We talk about and we discuss, And I think this space that we give, the right space and the hospitality, they feel safety. The safe space is really important. When you put a youngster in your meeting, in your board or whatever, and you say, oh, you can say whatever you want, but you are not really believe in what you say, they feel it directly. They have the empathy. They have the dar. They understand exactly if you're fake or not fake. They know that. This is what we don't have mostly. It's like an animal that they developed. And if they feel they are not in a safe space, you're not honest, well, then they quiet. They leave quietly as well. And then they say, okay, I don't say nothing. I don't want to take the risk or take my energy to put in this meeting or in this organization.
Can you share an example of where in the hotel industry where you saw Gen Z input shifting the way that the hotel was designed or the way that the managers were thinking about the industry itself?
Yeah. Well, I worked a lot in the hospitality industry. I work for a big group, the Pandox Group, which is a Swedish group, and other hotels. But I think Pandox Group, I don't know if you know them. They have a lot of properties in Belgium and Europe. And one of the CEO or one of the responsible of Pandox, he took the time from Sweden or from Netherlands to come to the agency and talk with the youngsters. And first of all, I think what he understood is give him the space to the youngsters in their hotels to try, even if it's not working, give him a space to do it. And I think what I'm always surprised is to convince the GMs. I think there's a mindset from the general managers. Too many times I hear from general managers of GMs, oh no, I can't because the group, because the responsible, blah, blah. There's always something that is putting somewhere. I think a general manager has the opportunity to change and to do some things in small things like giving some responsible to youngsters, make them visible in the hotels. What I'm seeing example is the reverse mentoring with the youngsters as well, is taking a youngster with you 1 week as GM or bring him or example to give him a job, but every 3 months he change a job. I think the magic or hospitality, we know that youngster stays maximum 1 year, 1.5 years in a job, right? They board really quickly. They're like impatient. Mostly I will say after 6 months, they already say, okay, what's next? What we have in hospitality is we have many type of work in a hospitality, in a hotel. You can do front desk, you can do back office, you can do data, you can do digital communication. So if we not stay troubled in our job description, but we are transform our job description in a mission. Example, job description of front desk is, the classic blah, 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 front desk and compute and be friendly, blah, blah. But what is the mission of the front desk? Is the onboarding our guests, is making the best moment for our guests. If you transform the job description in a mission and you give the freedom of this generation to do what they can't to realize the mission, I think this changed totally the battle. And you have already hotels that doing this. I think example, 25 hours, 25 hours. It's a very good example. You see them at the bar. You see them at the front desk. You see them sometimes with digital, with the mobile, making pictures. You have really a connection with those guys in 25 hours. You have Moxie who tries. You have the Hoxton Hotel where there's a real experience. And I think those hotels, we are not right there, but for me, they are already in the good directions and already a game changer in our hospitality. That is for me today, hospitality is really blocked at the 90s. It's a wake-up call that I say. If you continue like that, really, we will have really a problem to recruit and convince the new generation to work in our hotels.
It's something that we've been trying very hard here is how to understand how we can transform this industry to become attractive again to new talent, because we are losing talent because of our way of work, the reality of hospitality and what we understand that hospitality is. There is the point that, yes, we work when our friends are having fun. And someone needs to work for other people to have fun, and hospitality people are those people, right? But at the same time, we don't treat the people that are making that sacrifice with that importance of, yes, you are making a sacrifice, so you should be rewarded for that. And I really want to find out a way that we can turn this industry into a more attractive industry for new talent, connecting and understanding Gen Z. It's crucial for us to make that shift. For you, what would be the single biggest challenge that the hotels face when attracting Gen Z to work in a hotel?
Sorry to interrupt. If you're enjoying the show and if you're learning something new today, please consider following the show, subscribe to our channel, or leave us a review. It helps us to help more people through the podcast, and it would mean the world to us. Thank you for listening, and we're back on the chat.
I think the industry already, I think the pyramid today, we have like a very pyramid. I still have the impression when you go in the lobby and you feel the tension, you feel when a GM is passed, I can see the GM. I can see the responsible of the front desk. I can feel that, there's some hierarchy that you come low and step by step you go up. And maybe if you're good at 40, you can be responsible for a hotel. We are today in the same problem of Uber. We are old taxi drivers and we say, no, it's not our fault. It's like that, blah, blah, blah. And one day there's a game changer coming like Uber and they say, okay, wait on. People don't want to pay anymore 45 or 2 kilometers. People don't want to wait in the rain and not knowing where there's the car, when the taxi is coming. And all those things, a new game changer came up and was Uber. We had already our wake-up call with Airbnb. Lucky Airbnb has been not doing the job. Airbnb has sold experience by an experience, staying, sleeping with somebody at home and have another experience and discover something else. Airbnb has killed his brand by knowing you choose Airbnb not for the experience, but for the price. This was a wake-up call. Now we have the opportunity to take it in our hands and to change the battle and to be a game changer. If we don't do it, there will be a new Airbnb coming up. And I think just do a step back. What is hospitality in 2025? Why youngsters want to sleep in a hotel? What is the experience that we can give? And reinvent it. Now it's brainstorming. You have the classic way, but do it a disruptive way. Maybe you have the classic room, but do it in a disruptive room. Be creative. Start with one hotel and feel it. And first of all, if it's an hotel for the new generation, you need to implicate the newest generation in your team, brainstorm with them, give them the responsibility, making maybe the new generation manager, whatever, or Gen Z manager in your hotel. We can be so creative. We have the space, the properties to be creative. We just, sorry to say, we need to take our balls in hands and just go for it. Because if we today continue to say, okay, yeah, maybe I look left, look, the Hiltons are like that. I look right. Our Sheraton is still doing like that. But we have already Maxi, so we already start now. In 5 or 6 years, there will be a new Airbnb. And please don't tell me that, not tell you that it will be too late.
So, and now that you're saying about these roles and you're mentioning some brands, have you seen hotels that create these spaces and roles and kept young staff engaged and motivated?
Well, I have seen more in countries. I see in Sweden, example, when you go into the lobby, there's magic happens in lobbies in Sweden hotels. In Brussels, nothing happens in lobbies. I have good cases. For me, one good case 10 years ago was the student hotels. Is a Dutch group that create and they say, okay, in the year we have the youngsters who come to Amsterdam or big cities to sleep. We'll give between student house and a hotel experience, but we make a community of youngsters, sport and everything. And there's something happens. And in the weekends, we rent them as hotel and okay, this is an example of game changer where even youngsters who sleeps there are part of the experience. I love to sleep in student hotel. I've been already with my clients in student hotel for Desperados, the brand that's a beer for youngsters, and sleeping there with my clients. My clients said, I feel me like a youngster. I say I could pay for that, for this experience, to have the nostalgia of what is 20 year to be 20. You know that? So I'm sure she would be, and I would even pay 200 or 250 for one night experience like that. So concretely to say there, I think there are some nice initiatives, but today so far there's no one brand to really change the full experience.
All right.
So
And
far, what
in
I
your
know, of
opinion,
course.
well, I hope that we find out after we publish the
Yeah.
podcast, and then people come out, I'm doing that. It's like, yes, let's bring you to
And I
talk
will
now.
be happy, really happy to talk with GMs or to have a discussion or be invited in one of your big events, or, maybe you have probably hotel hospitality events where I can have one-to-one discussion with them.
We should bring, and if you're listening to the podcast right now and your hotel is doing something, please really comment here, and I'll bring you to the show as well to show what you are talking, what you're doing, and the good examples, because it's not about you doing good examples and building your brain because you are doing great things. It's the industry itself that's dying. The moment that we don't share good examples and we don't bring more people, we'll have the problems anyway. Don't try to save your own strategies. Let's share strategies and help the industry as a whole and bring hospitality to be a sought after place, not your brand to be that place. And when it comes, as we're talking so openly, like in your opinion, what's the role of honesty and transparency in recruiting?
In recruitment, you say?
Yeah, when recruiters speaking to Gen Z, like, so
Well,
you want to attract Gen Z.
I think going back, recruitment is really important. I would say recruitment and the first day of working is as much as important as the check-in for you in hotel. In recruitment, I give my example how we recruit at 20-something. I recruit always with best friends. The first person that I see is not the person who wants to apply in the company, is his best friend. So we have a program of Hi, My Best Friend, because I believe if you trust your best friend to come for you, you have values. If you don't trust your best friend, you will never trust your colleagues or your clients. That's the first thing. And secondly, I'm focused first of all on the emotion selling proposition. We have two things. Let's talk a little bit marketing. USP, unique selling proposition. This is what you're good in for. If you study hotel, you have learned a lot of technical stuff of hotels. And the hard skill, in fact. The ASP, emotion selling proposition, for me is the soft skills. And too much we spend time to the hard skills, but not on the soft skills. By inviting the best friends, Hi, My Best Friend, I'm talking and I'm really very curious about his soft skills. What is his ability? What does he like? What is his passions? And I try to think for me at 20-something, to get not only good hard skills, but have diversity in soft skills. Because when I have a person who is very good in that, I can help them not only to help me in the hard skill, but even in soft skills, problems, clients' problems. I'm sure people who have good soft skills can be very good in some problems with clients. So to come back to your answer, soft skills culture. Focus first on the soft skill. Try to understand them. Be a game changer in the way you recruit. Don't ask a CV. What is a fucking CV? People, this is so old fashioned. Be creative when you invite them in a hotel. Why not let them sleeping one night before? And start with a conversation with, okay, now before starting, you slept as a client. Explains what do you like from the hotel? What didn't you like the hotel? And use this first interview, not as an interview, but as a virgin who slept in your hotel and explains his emotion selling proposition in your hotel and get that the best. And through this conversation, you will see and discover absolutely another person. Maybe you will say, oh, this guy has so much that I was thinking to put in on back office, but no, he should be maybe the person of social media, or he should be me working on a bar or whatever. Try to explain them, tries to understand them. And not come up not with this question of where do you see yourself in 4 or 3 years? Don't promise bullshit, please. And give him just start with the 6 first months and accept that today trainee is an investment of 4 months. And it's like a relationship. When you have a relationship with your girlfriend or your boyfriend, you don't think already directly in 4 or 5 years. You think, okay, I hope in 1 month I'm still with her or with him. And I hope in 6 months, it's the same in working. Try build it up every day. If your relationship is working, it's because every day you try to create magic. Restaurants, cinema, and everything. This is what you have to do in working. I don't ask you to go to the cinema with your team, but put the energy and the honesty and the transparency like you put in a relationship, but now in a work environment.
Interesting way. Like, I love the idea of Hi, My Best Friend. It's so cool. Like, very creative way to really understand it. For hospitality itself, soft skills should be the core of the business. Being research, we spoke here with more than 100 hospitality leaders and two very, very successful GMs. One here in Prague, 3 times best hotel in Prague, and now number one hotel in the whole USA, right? So number one Aqualina Resort in Miami. And they both use the same strategy. We hire for heart, we train their skills. Because for me to teach someone to be empathetic will take me maybe a lifetime. To teach them to do the job is very easy. So we hire by their soft skills and then we train the hard skills. It's easy to train hard skills. When I get to that, I will ask another question. In hospitality, GMs, successful GMs say that you should be aware of every single position in the hotel. You should have at least experienced every single position in a hotel so you can actually be the leader because you understand the difficulties of each position. This is including cleaning. This is including the kitchen. This is including all the hard part of the hotel. How is Gen Z in the operational side of working? How do they deal with?
I think when you are transparent, they can deal with that. Before understanding I'm a marketeer and sociologist marketeer, I transform blah, blah and bling, bling and storyteller. And for understanding hospitality, the first thing that I did is sleeping in hotels, but cleaning with the clean ladies. And I was so surprised. The clean lady opened the door and said, oh, this is an American or this is Japanese. I understood the hotel by the clean ladies and then front desk and everything. Because if you transform, you need to understand. I totally agree. When I say you have to be a game changer, there are basics that you can keep. I don't ask the people to change everything. Think doing a tour and doing a program, like a micro program where 2 months or 2 weeks in every job. This is absolutely normal and I think essential if you want to work, if you want to have the empathy to understand what the cleaning lady is doing, what the back office is doing, what the social media, the bar and everything. Absolutely. But not 6 months of 1 year. That is the change. That's the thing. You can do it like a program. And if you do the program, you should do the program for everyone. That means not only for people who want to be GM, but even people who wants maybe doing cleaning. I understand that the ability is maybe it's more difficult, but I think if you just do it for this and this people, I have a program, but for other people who's doing maybe less complicated, I don't have, that will work. I'm sure you can find a small program for clean ladies example as well in kitchen and other things to understand a little bit. So yes, absolutely be explaining to youngsters why you're doing that and do it in a short, do the program maximum 6 months. So that after 6 months, have a discussion with them, give a progress report every step that I have done, and try to understand where they're good in it, and listening as well, because when you're 2 weeks in a position, you as manager say you are 2 weeks in a position, you don't have the ability to give me feedback. Just listening and shut up. I think this 2 weeks can be very interesting. When this 2 weeks are finishing, and before going into another department, try to listen and try to say, okay, if you could change something in this department, what would you change? If you would do something, what would you? And even if it's naive, even if he doesn't or she doesn't understand what's really happens, I'm sure and if you want to hear, that's the thing, I'm sure you will get very good insights, very nice observation that you can turn in opportunities.
Yeah, when I think about my ideal hotel, the one that I'm designing, that one day I will open, and I've always thought about housekeeping as, for me, housekeeping is basically one of the cores of the hotels because, as you said, they open a door, they understand the guests, they understand which rooms are problematic, which rooms are the best rooms, where they would sleep if they want. They understand everything inside of the hotel that we just don't get enough feedback from them. I would change the name housekeeping to something like room management and design. The responsibility is not to clean the room. The responsibility is to make that room welcoming. So you have a budget to buy flowers and decorate the room as you feel the mood on the day. So you have the standards, you have what you have to keep, of course, but you can put that creativity, and cleaning is just part of that design, that welcoming, how the aromas will feel. And I think that's little things like that can transform transform some positions.
Mauricio, you have definitely totally understand when I say change a job description and transform your job description in missions. If you bring to old people, even jobs that you think, oh, why? No, every job can change from a job description to a mission that change a battle. And there's from the book, I don't know if you know it, A Diary from a CEO. It's an amazing book from Steve Bartlett. There's one in one of the 33 rules that he gives. If every day you change 1% of your hotel, or in this case, after 1 year, you change 360%. Change, just try. Don't focus to change everything directly. Just say every day I change 1% and be consistent and share your 1% and motivate people, come up with the ideas and don't kill them. And every day becomes like 10 days, be already 10%. It's a metaphor, but you definitely understand what I mean behind that.
I do. I have the book behind me here. And let's think about like some help for our audience, because now they are consuming probably they start to think like, wow, yes, I can do something about this. If a GM wants to start involving Gen Z voices like tomorrow, what would be the first step that they would take?
First of all, if already he's here and he already said yes, is the mindset change. That start. The only person you can start is changing is yourself. Start with changing yourself to the mindset change about you. The way that you discuss with them is the first thing, is already one big step as GM. Secondly, don't try to understand of paying consulting. Start to understand your team already. Invite your Gen Zers from your hotel for Gen Zer dinner or lunch, or go every day, every week, decide to one day of in a week, it's one or two, depending the ground, 1 or 2, 3 Gen Zers to eat with you and try to do reverse mentoring. Or do a small marketing research. Maybe ask facilitator, a person like me, to come to understand and to get the highlights and the topics and try to identify where are the priorities. So I would do, first of all, mindset. Suddenly scan your hotel. Take the distance. Don't take it personal. Try to scan. Then identify what are the priorities, maybe 5 or 6 priorities that say, okay, we have to change our onboarding. We have to change our recruitment. We have to change our way that we sell our hotel, whatever. And then shift. The scan, surface, shift. And the shift system is really, and then you put on a timeline, take and talk with your owners and do like I do. If your owners, if as GM you say, yes, but my owner don't understand, take your Generation Z in a meeting like I do. I told you it's much easier to convince your owner if you have maybe a concrete Gen Zer with you to help you to sell and to explain what the problem in the industry or in your hotel. Take with them, implicate them. Already participating in the changing is already a great example to prove to other ones that you are different. Be a game changer.
And now that you mentioned also training and onboarding, how do they best learn? Because as you said, they learn in a different way than I learned, right? I am a millennial, so I was through a different type of education, and they experiment content in a different form, in a different format. So what would you, in your opinion, be the best way to onboard and train Gen Z? Would it be coaching? Would it be one-on-one? Would it be workshops, groups, online?
First of all, if you do online, if you have an online platform, like a big where on-brand, do videos less than 20 minutes, small videos, not a long one. I would say even 10 minutes, snacking videos, where they can snacking and them. The best way to learn is to follow. Don't, of course, a workshop, do small workshops, workshop of 2 hours. Don't make 1 or 3 or 4 days workshop. You will kill them, but do it small workshops or from 1 hour and then exercises. But the best thing is follow. Is say, look, this is first of all, soft skill. You have a soft skill. You know that this guy, Thomas, is climbing, is very social. I have somebody in my hotel who is climbing and social and is very social too. Maybe let them together because they have the same values. That's the first thing. And then bring him in coaching by following and practicing and seeing and do. And don't forget progress report, one-to-ones. Don't wait 6 months. Try, have a system very easily. online or by a platform or by WhatsApp. Make it easy to communicate it. Don't make a lot, rules with meetings and, in 6 months we'll have a meeting together and progress report that take a while because you will lose them before you know it.
Awesome. And we've been speaking a lot about how to design this workplace and with the Gen Z in mind, right? Like clear new job descriptions that are mission driven and that are not task driven. So I can start to visualize like a future hotel where we can include Gen Z. If you would think Gen Z asked guests, because I believe that this is something that GMs are also very curious about, because that's where the money will come from. So how would you imagine the guest journey for Gen Z in hotel?
First of all, I would suggest to make your journey with the people already that work with you. Try say, okay, you as a youngster, what do you expect and what would you change? Invite maybe people to sleep in your hotel to see where are the customer journey, check in, check out, and like to understand, and then brainstorm. Okay, check in. You think it's boring. What are you boring? Okay, the questions. Okay, would you see it? Okay, that kills you. You come in and you see uniforms. It gives you a hierarchy. When you have somebody on uniform, you feel not comfortable. Okay, so small things that quickly can be changed. Maybe you can do a special desk, whatever. I would do this. But in general, youngsters, if you ask me in a general question, really experience bringing, let people working in your lobby, laptops, living. In Starbucks, you can work with your laptop the whole day without asking a coffee. Nobody will ask you to go out. This is a rule. But when you go, I don't like the coffee of Starbucks, but be honest, when you go in a Starbucks, you are whatever in a city you don't know and you feel alone and you want to work, you take your laptop, you go in a Starbucks, you feel home, no? You feel like you're not the only one. It's like a co-working space. Transform your hotel in that kind of magic. I think what is magic? The magic of an hotel is when you come in and you feel that something happens. I come again with love. When you're in love, or when you see a girl or a guy in the street or after a talk, there's something happens. You say, oh, wow, I don't know, but it's something magic. You can't put words. You can't know if it's because she or he is handsome or intelligent, because the intelligence you don't know, but there's something that happens. That should happen in your hotel as well. And it only happens when the people are in your hotel are happy, authentic, and express this. If you are fake behind your desk, if you're fake behind the bar, the fakeness, youngster will feel directly and will go away. They prefer to go and work in the station or in Starbucks than in your lobby or sleeping in your hotel.
I love how you really personalize every hotel. So it's not about creating standards that will work for every single box and then you start attracting every type of Gen Z, but it's really inviting the generation to leave the hotel and experience the hotel and create the experience for that hotel that will.
I will give one example that probably the Berlin Hotel is a great example. In every city, they design the hotel based on the city and 25 hours. But why I say Berlin? Because the example of Berlin is exceptional. The Monk that you have, it's downtown next to the zoo. And you have the monkey bar, that's very famous. But the hotel rooms, when you come in and you do your check-in, you say, oh, what do you want? Do you want a hotel room on the city part or do you want a hotel room on the zoo part? The zoo part is amazing. You say, why? Because when you sleep, please don't sleep with the window closed. Let the window a little bit open because the monkeys will wake you up in the morning. I don't know if you have already slept there, but It's amazing. You sleep and suddenly you heard the monkeys, and the monkeys wake up you in the morning. Explain me, do you any hotels in the world that have this experience? You pay 200 euro or 250, but you come back not only with experience, but because the people who said that to you is an amazing person. And an hotel experience, a night, it changed totally an experience and something magical. And this is maybe the success of Disneyland. We can make from our hotels our Disneyland. We just not copy paste a Mickey Mouse. Just imagine what is your Mickey Mouse, what is your magic, and be consistent in what you do.
It's awesome. Let's close here with some action points. For hotel leaders listening today, what was one small action they can take this week to open a better dialogue with the Gen Z team?
I think we already talk a lot. I do this job as consulting. I think in the 35 minutes, I would say relisting this podcast and take paper, because probably you're listing them passively and you say, oh yeah, relisting, take the paper, because I give already a lot of ideas and tips where they can start. So the answer is in the podcast, but start with the mindset, start with yourself, and don't say with, tomorrow, we will see tomorrow. No, if you listen to this postcard and you stop this postcard, you say, okay, I will change right now. I start right now. If you have kids, start talking with your kids. Maybe invite your kids to sleep in your hotel. Start with the people around you. Yeah. And I would say for GMs, put your GM side on the back and be an intern. Try to put you in an intern. Try to put you in the guy that starts his first day in a hotel, and try to be not, and leave your classic bullshit way and try to read the signals that a youngster try to give to you.
Benoît, it was awesome talking to you. Thank you so much. The energy, for the insights, awesome energy here. I love this podcast. How can our audience get in touch with you?
Well, you go to, I have a website that talk about Generation Z, 20something.be. I transform my classic bullshit websites as a platform where you can every week read articles. There's an article about hospitality as well. And yeah, I'm very happy, I'm passionate. People who works with me, maybe people from the industry will know me. They will all tell you that I'm a crazy guy. But I'm there for motivating you. I try to, pushing people with understanding what they have with the problems. And if they want to have a chat, just write me and I will be happy to have a first call and see how we can maybe come to talk, inspire your team, or helping you to change and to be a game changer.
Yeah, so I will use the opportunity to thank Anders Johannesson for connecting us. Thanks, Anders. It was awesome. And thank you very much, Benoît, for being here. It's a pleasure to have you here.
It was a pleasure to me. I enjoyed this chat with you.
Chilorinos, thank you so much for listening to another episode. I'll see you next week. Bye.